Hello, everybody. Glad to see the handful here this afternoon, this evening, depending on where you're watching from. I am thankful for each and every one of you being here. And just like clockwork, as if she planned it, she knew I was going live, and now she's running around in circles telling me she needs to go outside, but she's going to have to wait a minute. I'm glad to see everybody here. I've seen some of your comments here in the stream. The only one I'm taking issue with is and now she's gonna start talking to me. It's gonna be an emergency. Let's see, where is it? Yep, it's gonna be an emergency now. Where did I see it? Carl's bragging about 63 degrees and sunny Florida. I'm gonna have to go open the door and let her out, because if I don't, it'll be a mess on the floor. Be right back. All right, make no mistake, when there's a lady in the house, she is the boss. Oh, so anyway, sorry about that. But yeah, I only take issue with Carl talking about being nice and sunny, he didn't say sunny, but he said 63 degrees in Florida. Wish I was there with you. But I'm glad to see the handful of you here. Because this time slot is dedicated to and a lot of these. I see New Zealand and the Aussies and UK here. Yeah, lots. Hey, Dave, lots of folks here. Oh, shush. Carl's heat wave. Oh, hush, hush, hush. Yeah. Well, it's cold here. We had a little winter front come through. But for those that are out of the country and aren't seeing our local news, our California's on fire right now, and it is a lot. But this time it's unusual. It's pretty much L.A. Hollywood is burning down, which some people can read stuff into that, but it's pretty bad. Pretty bad. Lots of fires out of control, and the city doesn't have the means to fight the fires, and no water, and open the hydrants, no water there. So tons and tons and tons of loss. Fortunately, I haven't seen a whole lot of talk about loss of life. There has been some, but nothing like what happened with the mountains in North Carolina here. So glad that you're all here. You're all safe. Hopefully none of you guys have lost any family or have had family with losses in any of this stuff that's going on. And having the winter storm front come through, or preparing for the winter storm front coming through, and getting caught up in everything else that's going on, I haven't gotten a whole lot accomplished this week in the shop. With the winter weather that was coming in, I was okay. Well, I need to get my trailer out of the yard before it gets saturated with snow and it's frozen in, and then it's a mess to get the truck in and out of the yard, tear the yard up. So, but that's a whole ordeal. But a whole lot of preparation getting ready for this winter front. We had some snow. I think they said, I seen one of the forecasters say it was the first measurable snow in Charlotte in 3 years, but it's negligible. I mean, you can't even make a good snowball. Anytime with where I'm at, I've lived here all my life. And history is if the moisture comes up from the Gulf Coast and Atlanta, if Atlanta is starting to see accumulation, then we're going to get hammered. But if it comes across the mountains, comes through Tennessee and over the Appalachian Mountains, we don't get much. A lot of ice, but no snow. Nothing to amount to anything except to make you cold, very cold. This is going to be a video talk about, because I share my mistakes in my videos and how I learn what I learn. I learn a lot from my mistakes, and I've made a few this week in lasers and with my website. Some of you, Dave was the one that was kind enough to bring it to my attention, but then I had some other comments that come through after talking to Dave. Folks like yourselves, the people who are in UK, New Zealand, anybody who's not in the US hasn't been able to download anything from my website this week without a problem, because I asked a third party for help with my website because I didn't want to be shipping anything from my website internationally, any physical products. And they made some changes. And when the changes they made, not only prevented shipping physical goods, but it prevented anybody from downloading anything from the website if they didn't have a U.S. address. I got that fixed. Thank you, Dave, for bringing that up and making me aware of that. I'm 99% sure I got that problem straightened out. Last night, as I was sitting in the camper, hunkered down, trying to stay warm, a Billy Graham special came on after the news from Samaritan's Purse. It was a video they did on the aftermath of the Hurricane Helene that came through and wiped out Western North Carolina. And in fact, I want to share a link, a YouTube link. Share, copy, and I'm going to put it in the comments, paste. Then I'll go watch it right now. Because if you've got any questions regarding LightBurn and or designs, this is the stream for you, because we're going to open this up for any questions and problems or comments that I might can help you with. Even if need be, even invite you here into the stream, and you can say hey to everybody and on camera, and we can converse about your issues. But the link I just put there in the comments is a link to the Samaritan's Purse Storms of Life. And it shows the level of devastation and has a couple of personal accounts of loss of life. And I'm not even going to touch on their stories because it's their story to tell. But it also it was the inspiration for the design that I'm working on now. If you're on the Hobo with Wood group, you've already seen the photo I posted of it. If you're not, let's pull that up here so you can see, because this doesn't show very well. Even if I hold it up, it doesn't show very well, but this photograph will. So this is a new take on an old idea. It's the LED light stands that you get, and most of the time they're acrylic, and you can engrave them if you've got a CO2, and they'll light up and you can see, whatever image you want to put in there. But this, I had the idea of taking the crystal paperweights. Now this is not a thin piece of crystal. This is almost an inch thick crystal, and it's a good size. And if I put my head in the way, there you can see it slid up. But I said, you know what? I engrave this, make a box for it, and this is one of the mistakes I made, and I want to share this with you too, because it wasn't a LightBurn mistake, and it wasn't even a design. Well, I guess it was a kind of a design mistake, but I'm making a box that will fit over the LED puck to add some class to it, and it not be just that plastic puck sitting there, and then plus the box will be designed so that you can take that crystal heart and it'll stand in there. And then the light is able to illuminate through the bottom and illuminate the crystal and make the whole thing pop and glow like you see here. It really did turn out, that part of it turned out really, really nice once I got the finished, well, that's not even finished piece. It's my first prototype. But the mistake that I made with the box, and I want to caution you about, is I designed this box. Thank you, Moses. Appreciate you so very, very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This box that I did, I designed it sitting in the RV with the laptop. And I went to my Amazon account and looked up my history on my LED pucks that I bought. And it's got all the specifications of these stands. And I said, okay, I can use that. And I'm like, well, okay, this is going to be really good. Because it was, like 28.5 centimeters. So, down to the half centimeters, so it's 285 millimeters. So I'm like, oh, good. I got very specific information so I can design my box accordingly. Don't trust anything on the internet. This does not work. The measurements of the physical measurements of the puck are not what they are on the website. So the box that I made and designed would not work. So I've got to modify my design. And I learned a lot. And and I never put any of my designs on my website until I have a finished working 100% proof, works without a flaw prototype. And this ain't it. And that's why it's not up there yet. But I've designed it so it's got a hole in the front so that if you do get those LED pucks, you can use the infrared remote control to change the power on and off and change the colors or the modes. And there's even a place in the back where you can put the USB in there if you want to use it plugged up instead of using the batteries. But lots of mistakes being made this week. Lots of mistakes. And I see some question marks in here. I want to come back in here. Question marks and comments. Let's see here. There's some got to go back. All right. I'm going to come down here. There we go. All right. If you had a question before Mama Bear and I didn't see it, just post it again. All right. It says, have you seen a sneak peek at the Rolly MK3? If so, what do you think about it? I have only seen the sneak peek that was shared with the Rolly Automation Facebook group. If you haven't seen that, then it's definitely something you want to go over to Facebook, Rolly Automation Facebook group, Mama, and check out that preview that Leo posted. He is going to be doing and from what I gathered from the comments, it almost looked like he may be coming down to New Orleans to be in person with Rich to do a reveal. I still highly endorse the Rolly, and it's my favorite machine to date when it comes to diodes. But I communicate with Leo, but I'm not in that circle. I'm not in that. I'm not involved with that any longer. So I have not seen it. I don't know to what degree they have been working with it for hands-on. I imagine they have been for a while, but they did drop a preview video in the Rolly Automation Facebook group that they're going to do a big reveal live stream in February in the next couple of weeks. So get over to the Rolly Automation Facebook group and check that out. But that's the level of my knowledge. It's an impressive looking machine incorporating a Galvo head on a open gantry machine. Well, it's not going to be an open gantry. It's going to be a gantry, but it'll be an enclosure like this, and it'll be a galvo. And I think they said it was 60 watts, and the speed of that machine is mind-boggling. Mind-boggling. Seeing some other question marks here. I did say thank you. That all right. Chris says confirmed non-US downloads is working. All right, good. And Dale says, are the hearts back in stock? Yes, I do. And I do have plenty. The first gross, I ordered a gross because I didn't know how well they would be received. And they sold out in a week. I've got over 2 gross here now. And I don't know if that's a term that's used around the world or not, but a gross is 144, 2 gross, 288. So I've got over 300 of them here now. I do have the same special going on the website where you buy 10 and get 1 free. Switch. I show 285 in stock right now, and that's simply because if you order 10 hearts, you get 1 free. So you buy 10 and you'll get 11. So I've got plenty of extras that are not showing here so I can fulfill the free ones. If you buy 10, you get 1 free. And in addition to the free crystal heart, you get an actual jig to put in your laser bed that will level the surface for engraving and give you a jig, a template to put in the computer so that you can go right to work with it. There's the jig. I'll send you an actual physical jig. And this piece right here is a little ledge that just props up that heart to create that level surface. And the template, the electronic file that I'll send will have you the engravable area for that. But yes, the hearts are back in stock. Let's see here. Carl. Downloads are working. Hearts are back in stock. I think of everything. Far from it. If I thought of everything, I wouldn't be making as many mistakes as I make. Let's see here. Shouldn't there be a say thanks button at the bottom of the screen? I don't know where or which screen you're referring to. On your YouTube channel, there should be a super thanks button there, depending on where you're watching. If you're watching on your TV, it may not show up. But on a phone, I don't know about. On a computer, it should definitely be there. Greg Wilson says it looks great. A round box would be cool with the hinge cut. The living hinge. The problem with the living hinge is they're fragile. They look cool, but no matter what you do, they're fragile. And I'm actually looking to make something with this this piece. I don't even want. This isn't made out of plywood. This particular box was 7mm maple, and I put a stain finish on it, and I didn't like it, and I started sanding it back down. But the box was already the wrong dimension, so I was just trying different things. But this was hardwood instead of a plywood, and I don't know that a living hinge would work that well with hardwoods, because hardwoods, especially the thinner hardwoods, some of them are easier to cleave or break than others. And when you've got a very, very fine, fragile living hinge that you're wrapping around, instead of it wanting to bend, it'll just snap. You can get by with living hinges when you're doing the plywoods, the Baltic birch plywoods and stuff. But this is solid hardwood, and I would not recommend doing living hinges in hardwood. And once I get this in the right dimensions, I played with putting a cap on here. This is a solid piece of walnut, and you can see there, I cut it out with the laser, but then I put it on the router and put a nice cove cut, I guess, that on the feet, and then I'm going to put that on the top, so you'd have a different, finish edge on the top. Playing with different ideas, rounded all these off with the router as well, instead of having the hard 90-degree slots. But I'm looking to make something a lot more upscale, since it's going to be with this solid crystal heart. I like living hinges, but I don't think it's the right look for this, for the crystal heart. It'd be okay if you were doing the plastic LEDs, but I think this requires something more upscale than plywood. Except we trust you on the internet. Okay. Not sure what that's about trusting me, but yeah, I'm a pretty trustworthy person. You can't trust too many things you see on the net. If it's on the internet, it's got to be true. Oh, we're talking about the measurements. Yeah, no, the measurements were off enough so that in order to get the box, that puck in there, I had to squeeze the box apart. So no. And if you can trust my designs, and you can trust if it comes out of here. Is that done with the MK2? And if so, what are the settings? Was the crystal, was this done with the MK2? This was done with the 10-watt diode laser. And I will, let's see here, put it in the blue box. Nope, it's upside down. There we go. So yes, that was done with the 10-watt diode MK2. I actually did it on the XW. As far as the settings and speed and power go, it's included with the jigs. I didn't put it on the website. It's low. It's low power. It's low speeds. If you purchase, and I'll share all of that with any of the purchasers of buying these crystal hearts. And the reason that I'm not going to, because if you're not buying these crystal hearts, the settings aren't necessarily going to work for you. I can guarantee the settings that I share with anybody buying these are going to work, because it's the same product, and it's not like a piece of wood. A piece of wood, you bring it into your shop or your house, the environmental conditions can change how the wood will react. But this being a non-living piece, a piece of crystal, the environment's not going to change in any. So if you're working with a 10-watt diode laser, then the speed and power settings that I found that give me the best performance will work. Now, the trick to it, to engraving the crystal with the 10-watt diode, is my Scotch tape. And I talked about that in some of the other streams. And it's 3M 201 Plus, I believe. And I shared all that. In fact, that's in the description, I think, here. But the Scotch tape with the diode 10-watt laser does a fabulous job with this. One of the I engraved one of them in a previous live stream. So if you just go back and look in the previous lives, you'll see, and I talk about the speed and power settings then. Kevin says 40 watt. Is it 40 watt on the MK3? I thought I seen somebody say 60 watt, but it might be 40 watt. Rich is going to China. Okay. That makes more sense. Leo's not coming here. Rich is going there. Like I said, I don't follow that anymore. I just seen what was in the Facebook group. Let's see. Thank you, Not Stanley. I appreciate you a whole lot. Oh, okay. So you guys are helping, and I appreciate this. It's in the chat window. Look for the dollar and click it. Yeah, right beside where you type your comment. So you guys, thank you, thank you for helping them help me. Thanks for today, Steve. I do appreciate it. No, Dave, I appreciate you bringing it to my attention, sir. Uh, uh, I would not have known about it had you not brought that to my attention. And Dave let me know about his inability to download the files, and I contacted him and we connected in the stream here. And out of respect and out of habit, I was, yes, sir, no, sir, yes, sir. But don't call me sir. Call me Dave. We're friends. We feel like we know each other. But out of respect, as a Southern thing, we call folks brothers and sisters, and ma'am, sir, yes, sir, no, ma'am, sirs and ma'ams. Got it. How about a heart-shaped box using vertical pins? Now that I have done those, and yeah, that the problem with that is the heart-shaped box to contain this puck would be a little bit larger than I would like from a and the box. This box itself is a little bit large in comparison to heart. But in order to make a heart-shaped box large enough to encompass this puck, you could get a different puck and go with that idea. But I was trying to work with another thing. I'm trying to use what I've got in the shop, and I've got bunches of those LED pucks here, and I've got bunches of hardwood here, and so I was trying to use what I have on hand. Assume that the heart. Assume that since the heart is beveled, the slot needs a beveled edge on the back to help the. All right. Since the heart is beveled, the slot needs a beveled edge on the back to help the crystal heart sit in the box. This isn't beveled at all, and when you're looking straight on at it, it's beveled on both sides, more or less. And so when you put that in there like that, it just sits there, if that's what you're referring to. And now this would be not something you would want to place it where it's out of reach of children, because this isn't, something you want kids putting their hands on and grabbing, and this would be something the ladies would put on their nightstand or their dresser or makeup table away from the kids, or on a bookshelf high and out of the way. Colored LED, yeah, and that's what's really cool about these pucks is they are different colors, and you can change it by touch, or you can have with the remote control. And these are on the Hobo with Wood shop supplies page. You can use the remote control and put it in a mode where it just fluctuates through the different colors. Okay, I just bought 2 of the hearts. Sorry, can't afford. Hey. And the thank you first. Thank you. And the good thing about this is, I will send me, since you only bought 2 and you're not getting the files, send me an email at hobowithwood@gmail.com, and I will send you the speed and power settings if you haven't already watched the previous live stream. And with those speed and power settings, using my 201 tape, the 3M 201 tape, 301 plus tape, you can put this in the machine and engrave and know that you don't have to waste a piece on testing. It's going to work. I would guess the crystals are not free for no. No, digital files are free. Digital downloads. Digital. So it never said I would get the jig when I purchased 2 hearts. Can you send them? Please, thank you. So it never said yeah. The jig's only included when you buy 10 and get the free one. I'll be happy to share you the settings. And if you're a patron, you know what? I don't even think it's just email me at hobowithwood@gmail.com, because I don't even think I have that jig on the website. So the patrons can't even go download the jig. So just email me and I'll get you hooked up after the stream. Just Jonathan's late. Well, shame on you. Jonathan, this stream's going to be a little different. I'm talking about all the mistakes that I made this week and the things I've learned from my mistakes, showing the new idea I had with the crystal paperweight and putting it on a lighted LED box. And as soon as if you've got any questions regarding LightBurn or designs, pop them up here. And if it's something that we need to, like I said, I can even send you a link and you can jump in here on this live stream with me and we'll figure it out. Let's see here. Maybe an LED strip rather than yeah, Chris, I have not ventured down the road of learning how to use the LED strips where you can cut them and make your own LED. They look like they're elementary and they're super simple to use. I just haven't done it. And as I said, I was trying to use what I have in the shop, and I have a bunch of these pucks. And I was just trying to make do with what I had. But yes, and even a better LED, like this one is a smaller, it's I think it might even be color changing. But this one is, where are you? There you are. Here's the big old puck. And a smaller, that one would be better because then I make the box a little smaller. But I was trying to use what I've got in the shop, trying to get and learning from the mistakes, and also seeing, how big that box is compared to the actual crystal. A smaller box, it would benefit that, and put that over there where you can see it better. That would benefit from a slightly smaller box, but that crystal is heavy. So having a good sized box for weight and keeping it from wanting to be top lopsided. But yeah. Yes, you can engrave them on a CO2, but I have not used it on my CO2, so I don't know the settings on them. So you would have to do your own test to figure out your optimum. But yes, you can engrave them easier on a CO2 because the CO2 would not require you having to use the tape. Because without the tape, you would not be able to do it on the diode. But the CO2, you should be able to just engrave them. If you have a lot, rip one apart and see how it works. I've got a lot, but now instead of wasting a puck, just buying those strips where you can cut your strip to length and then put the little power adapter on the end and you can plug it. I just haven't, and they make them, you don't even have to solder them. They just, go together with little bitty screws and, and I just haven't gone down that road yet. Is there anything that would prevent LightBurn from masking an image or graphic? That's something we don't talk about a lot is masking. I haven't talked about it hardly ever. I can't think of anything that in LightBurn that would prevent it. And this would be a good thing to demonstrate. And thank you for this question, Craig. So if you guys aren't aware, you can bring an image into LightBurn. And if it's a rather large image, but you don't need that entire thing and you're only wanting to work with a smaller piece of it, you can apply a mask to an image and then flatten that mask and cut it out. Let's just jump over to LightBurn and take a look at what he's referring to. But I cannot think of any reason why LightBurn would prevent you from doing that. So LightBurn, switch. And actually, before we go to LightBurn, let's go find, I don't know, let's say cat, funny cat SVG. Or no, let's not do we'll do images. I copy this image, then I bring it over to LightBurn and I paste that image in here. And I'm like, hey, that's kind of cool. But I actually only want this little cat right here. Well, all you have to do is draw you out a rectangle that's going to encompass that cat. And let's put it on a toolpath. And now I can move it around where I want to. So if that's part of the image I want, then I can select the image, select the toolpath, right click, and apply mask to image. So I've got the image on here, select the image, hold the shift button, left click on the mask, that toolpath, then right click, apply mask to image. Now, all of that other piece looks like it's gone away, but it truly has not gone away. Because if I can click over here where any area that image was at, and I can move that image around, and it's like, okay, well, maybe I want that. Let's shrink that down a little bit. And then if I say, okay, well, that's where I want it, and we'll just get his eyes and his mouth. But if that's what I want, now that I've got that, to keep that from moving around and to truly get rid of all of that image, I need to right click again and tell it to flatten the mask. Flatten the mask. And now I've got just that part of that image. So no, I don't know of any reason. I've never run into an instance where LightBurn will not allow you to apply a mask, but a lot of folks probably have not seen that. And that is a good feature to use, because whenever you're bringing in an image, or even if it's just if you're trying to trace an image, or if it's a large image and it's a ton of images, are lots of information. So if you don't need the whole thing and you can apply a mask and get just the piece you want, when you go to either trace it or engrave it, it's a whole lot less information that your computer has to process by getting just that little piece that you want to begin with. So thank you again for that, Craig. Let's see here. Uh-oh. Tuning in from work today. Hello, Patrick. If you're still with us, we're talking about mistakes and goof ups, and people have asked me if I've seen the actual MK3 yet or not, and I told them I had not. I'm curious, and if you have, can you even talk about it? Have you had the opportunity to be hands on with one of the prototypes yet? Would you post the crystal to the UK? No. And the reason for that, Dave, is it's just too dang expensive. And this brings up the t-shirts. The first round of t-shirts have gone out, and everybody should have those by now. The second round, I had planned on having them out by the end of the month, but people have been dragging their tail about getting me their information, and I did not want to drag it out and have 3 shipments of t-shirts. So I've been waiting for those lollygaggers to get me their information so I can send out hopefully a second and final round of t-shirts. And there was, I don't know if it went to the UK or to, well, I had some that went to the UK and some that went down under. And the postage alone, just to get the t-shirt, there was, 35 and 40 bucks. Just the postage. The free shirt, the t-shirt, it was a free shirt. The free t-shirt, didn't cost them anything except for the subscriptions. But the postage to get it there cost more than the t-shirt cost me. And that's the reason I went online and changed all of my laser blanks that I'm selling on the website now. And I've got 2 or 3 things on there in laser blanks. I've got some more to add, just hadn't got there yet. But just for the expense, the VAT, and then all the different restrictions, is it wood? What kind of wood is it? Some woods you can ship over there, some woods you can't ship over there. So unfortunately, no, I won't be able to do any physical goods out of the U.S. All right. Back when you were doing the love letters, you mentioned you were planning. Yeah, I was going to do that entire alphabet. And for those who don't know what Dale is talking about, I don't see the E right now. The E may have fallen off the shelf. Oh my. I did, and these, in fact, let's turn his comment off. These turned out really, really nice. That's the O. Had the LO, and then had the E and the V, and actually the L. And my intentions at the time were to do all 26 letters of the alphabet. But the problem I ran into, something fell off. Part of the letters. Oh, there it is. I want to pick it up before I lose it. All right. Not all of the shapes, the letter shapes, were friendly in trying to do with the slots and tabs. And so it just got to where it's like, I may have to revisit it, but there was a problem with the shape of a few of the letters that made it to where it wasn't going to be practical to try to do all 26 letters. Oops, sorry, back on with that. No, thank you, sir. Thank you. Well, we got a few things out there. I'm guessing we were talking about the masking. A few of you learned some things about the masking, and I have a vid showing how to trace an image, then use that trace as a mask. Vid showing how to trace an image and then use that trace as a mask. Okay, I might have to go watch that myself. And he says, I have plenty of goof ups, and that's how we learn, man. I think showing your screw ups is essential. Okay, Steve, sent an email to you and would like to stay, but I have to go help my elderly neighbor with her horses. I will check an email when I get back. Thank you. Okay, and Patrick says that he has not been hands-on with the new one yet either. Let's see here. Oh, greetings from Greece. Hello, Dimitri. We were talking about they were asking me about the MK3 and if I had any hands-on, and I explained to them I'm not really in that loop. I've been I still work with and fully endorse Leo and you and the Rolly products, but when it comes to the that family, I'm kind of the black sheep of the family, I guess. Okay, no, we already did that. I do the same, only domestic shipping. Too many regs, yes. It gets to be a bit nuts. Your paint pens will last longer if you put them upside. It depends on your paint pens. Depends on your paint pens. And you need to read your manufacturers because some paint pens do want you to put them upside down. Some paint pens don't do not benefit from that. So it does depend on the manufacturer's recommendations. So that's one that I'd say not one size doesn't fit all. Not Stanley says I didn't even know there was 26 letters in the alphabet. Can I engrave these hearts on 100? Yeah, Maggie. They're engraving on glass and clear acrylics. The CO2s are actually more user friendly on these materials than the diodes. If I wasn't using the 201 plus 3M tape, the diode could not do what I do. It is because of the tape running interference with that diode and creating a place for it to engrave the surface. But these will engrave with the CO2 without the tape. And I have a CO2. I haven't used these on it because I just don't like using my CO2. It's just not as user friendly, and I don't have the precision with my CO2 that I have with this. But yes, they will work with the CO2. Should be a stinking genius at LightBurn with all the mistakes. Here we go. This is the best one yet. Patrick says that I realized I could make my paint pens last longer by putting the caps back on. Yeah, that's probably the more advantageous than upside down or upright. But someone brought that point up in a previous stream or comment on YouTube. And I looked at the manufacturers, and some say upside down, some say upright, and they do vary from manufacturer to manufacturer. Yeah, and here we go. Steven makes a good point. Some paint pens have tips on both ends. You have a fine point on this end and a broad point on the other, or vice, so yeah, they vary. And my Sharpies. He just forgets his caps. All right. Has anyone ordered the 3M tape from Amazon? I ordered it in November and it's still not shipped. Wow. Has anybody else ordered any? Now, and Bruce, if you ordered the big roll like I've got, by me endorsing that and putting it out there, it may have created a back order situation on it to where people were like, because this is probably something folks don't normally purchase. And I've had a few people say, I can't get it to peel off. Well, you can't just start up here and just peel it. It'll just tear. You have to start it and get that whole edge exposed all the way down, and then you can start peeling it off. But I wanted one wide sheet like this because when I'm doing my mirrors that big old mirror up there, I was able to take one solid sheet without having to worry about overlapping or gaps. But more often than not, like when I'm doing the hearts, you can't really see it. There it is, right there. I'm only using half of it. So maybe if they've got some that is 8 inches wide or 6 inches wide, you might try that. Ba, 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 ba. Rick says, I got my tape. Yep, tape. Can you go over how to restore LightBurn if it crashes? I recently added a laser, and when I switch between the two machines, it freezes up, and I have had to reload everything. Well, Craig, that is getting into some of the technical stuff that I'm, unfortunately, and this is someone sent me a comment earlier about they were having problems, a technical problem. Technical problems I can help with when I've experienced the same hurdle and I've had to overcome that hurdle. Then because I've learned how to fix it or how to adjust for it or how to correct it. But that I've not had to reload my LightBurn and bring in all of my old information or I've added lasers, but I've not had issues. So I'm sorry, that one is not something as far as restoring LightBurn. When I had the guys from LightBurn on the live stream, they talked about that briefly. The LightBurn forum would be where I would direct anybody to go to for that issue. So sorry, that technical stuff ain't my strong suit. Bruce, there is a cheaper option called Dual Tight, works great. Well, I cannot attest to that. And I've tried several tapes. Now, Sharon, if you have used it on glass and if you used it on these hearts and you're getting the same results, then that's good to know. But it was my experience when I was experimenting with the tape, just like mirrors, they're not created equal. They're not made the same. And in some of your tapes can be dangerous. You got to be careful of any vinyl tapes, anything that might produce any nauseous gases, poisonous or dangerous gases. The only reason that I can sit here and tell you beyond a shadow of a doubt, use 3M's 201 Plus crepe paper tape is it is crepe paper. It's not vinyl. It's not going to produce any chlorine gases. It's not going to damage your laser. And the adhesives on the 201 Plus is all natural rubber adhesive. There's very little smell from it at all. And it produces a great result. So I don't know anything about that tape, but if it's 100% crepe paper and 100% natural rubber adhesive, and then you have the issue of like when I can tell you my speed and power settings work great with 201 Plus with this material. If you had it, you could replicate the same thing. You use a different tape, even if it's twice the thickness in crepe paper or 1.5 times the thickness of the crepe paper. That could change the amount of power needed to make the engraving. So my settings, now you're throwing a different value in that equation, so it could throw the whole thing out. So I can't say, hey, this works with the exact same results. I got the 4-inch version of the tape and it came in 2 days. Good. You might design a tape holder with and that's what I have done for when I'm doing the mirrors. Then I've got that on it, and it's like, if you ever seen it's just a large tape dispenser. Something this big, you would see it in an automotive shop or something like that, body repair shop. But yeah, I can get that thing started and I can just pull my mirror back and the whole piece comes off with it. But when I'm just doing a heart, I don't need that big old dispenser. I just need a half a piece of that and I can just peel it off. Let's see here. Questions and comments. Comment from try your best not to over. Yeah, and that's why I don't do the same thing. If you're not able to get a piece that's large enough to do it in one coating, if you have to create overlaps, that an overlapping of your tape is just as can create an unwanted result, just like leaving a gap in the tape. Because now you've got two layers of tape that laser's got to penetrate through. So it needs more power to get through there. So it may end up leaving a lighter engraving where it overlaps. Whereas if you don't put tape on there, it's also going to leave no results with the diode because it needs the tape to interact with to make the engraving. And that's why I say I want it in one sheet. That's why I got that big stuff. Okay, dual light is for gluing together, not for masking. Okay. I don't do glass, but the dual was created especially for lasers, especially diodes. Just thought I'd mention it in case someone needs a less expensive option for masking in general. I've not seen that dual light. I'll have to do some checking on that myself. Thanks for showing up, Dimitri. Appreciate you always. Appreciate all your help and support in the rolling support group. You and Leo are the backbone of Rolly. And if Leo's not aware of that, tell him I said so, and he needs to give you a raise. All right. So this week, as I said, I was trying to come up with new ideas and use what I had in the shop. And with everything going on, just too much. So I just went over to my shelf. What have I got sitting here? What have I bought? Haven't used yet. And there is, I don't have another one here. I can pull it up here though and show you the blank. Go here, go here. Do you guys have Hobby Lobby in the UK or in Australia? Are they international? Bundles allow you to export everything out of LightBurn and restore everything in one click. File, bundles, export. Now, see, Patrick is he's a whole lot more technical minded than I am. And I have not ventured down the path of the fiber lasers yet. I'm looking at getting a com marker in here. But there's a whole lot more. I think there's a lot more technical stuff going on with the fibers than there is with the diodes. It's a whole new learning curve. And that's why he is the master that we bow to for fibers. Do you have you ever, Patrick, have you done any videos on restoring LightBurn on your channel? And no, so you guys do not have any Hobby Lobby. Well, this is from Hobby Lobby here in the U.S. and it's in their woodpile fund category. And every second or third week they go on sale, and they're normally $8, but they go to 40% off every second or third week. You can get it for $4.79, and this exterior is made out of press wood. Kind of like an MDF. Then it's got a wood grain veneer over the top of it, and then the internal piece. It's also press board, but it has a white veneer finish on it. And then it's got the hanger built into it or screwed onto it in the back. Well, I had one of those in the shop, said, all right, how can I take that and upscale it, or not upscale it? I want to increase the value of it, and ended up with this. And this is the Amazing Grace file that's on the website, along with the corner accents. All that's in the web, the design. And I've got it floating. If you can see, it's not sitting on the surface. You got to see the shadow of the letters behind there. That's all those pieces are in that design. But I was able to take a design I already had. I had to change some of the dimensions in order to get it to fit within this piece. And this sold for $40. So, I've got the material for the design, the accent. I got all of that out of one 300 by 300 piece of Baltic birch. So one piece of Baltic birch, the one cross and I waited and got it on sale for $4.79. So I've got, then I put a lacquer finish on it. So I've got $10 in it, then plus my time and assembly and all that. So, $40 is a fair, reasonable price, and it's a unique piece. You're not going to go buy this off the shelf in Hobby Lobby. And it didn't last but just a couple hours on my site, and it was gone. So if you have a hobby shop in your neighborhood similar to Hobby Lobby, go in there and look around and look at what they have that you can buy really, really inexpensive. And then how can you add value to it and end up with a really, really nice piece without having to create a whole lot of work for yourself. No, we have a reject shop, I think is the same company. And that's another thing, especially when you're going to be trying to add value to a product. If for anybody watching in the US, Hobby Lobby, they have a clearance shelf in their back of their store. Go to their clearance items, and there's been several times, because these things, they are made out, this back piece is just press board as well. A lot of times these will get damaged. In fact, there was one on the shelf that was already damaged. Had somebody put their finger through the back of it or something. And you'll find these in the clearance aisle, and you'll be able to pick them up for 75% off or something like that. Then you can just take, and I've bought them before and just took and smashed that out and just had the outer frame, and then cut out my own insert to put in there, and was able to retrofit that and had a really nice frame to put the cross in. Well, I'm actually, if and when I ever do get down that path, I'm counting on our acquaintance, sir, to be able to do something with you and help me learn how to do fibers. We have a Hobby Jobby. Okay, it's probably along the same lines. Steve, to put the words in the center, did you use a jig to put the words in the center of the cross? Is that what you're referring to, Stephen? Did I use a jig to put those in there? No. If that's what you're referring to, this is one piece. All of these letters are attached. It's all one piece. So the laser cuts all that out, and it's just one solid piece. And then I was just able, and because I took the measurements of this opening first, measure first, cut once, measure twice, cut once. I took these measurements first and then configured this design to fit with the same amount of space around it, then cut it out. And then I was able to, and I put my spacers on the back of it. then applied the glue to the spacers, and then I was able to just eyeball it because it was going to be symmetrical all the way around. I planned that cut so that it would be the same symmetry. So that was just eyeballed and glued into place. And I made a jig to glue these on, but I ended up just putting those on by eyeball as well. Let's see here. Has anyone had issues with LightBurn not loading after the last update in LightBurn and Windows 11.3 lasers? I can't use them. I don't know what version of Windows I'm on, and let's see what I'm using 1.7.04, David, on my LightBurn, and info. Now I'm still on Windows 10. I'm leery of upgrading Windows. I've had too many problems with computers not working with my software after doing Windows updates. So if my computer's working, I do not have my automatic updates on Windows turned on, and I do not update Windows unless I start having problems with my stuff not working. Because that's a surefire way to, it's like, QuickBooks, you have QuickBooks. Oh, it works great on whatever, the version of Windows. But once you get up 2 or 3 versions of Windows, nope, you got to buy new software again. So I stay away from Windows updates. Has anybody else had a problem that David's run into? Has anybody else upgraded to Windows 11.3 and having problems with LightBurn or their lasers not working? Yeah, no, just one piece and just eyeballed it and put it right in there. On the Crystal Heart, if using 40-watt diode, would dropping the power 75% or increasing speed by 3 times? The diode laser, the power doesn't scale that way. And you say yours is a 40-watt diode, Scott, or Scoot? Do you have a laser that allows you to power it down? Is it always 40 watt period? Or can you power it down? And it doesn't scale that way. And the experience that I had, and I don't have my test piece out here. More power causes it to blow too much of a fracture with the crystal. And another thing, when I'm engraving this crystal, I turn my air assist off. Because when that laser is hitting that crystal, you're creating these micro fractures within the glass. Crystal is glass with an additive. Okay. It's just glass with something added to it that makes it crystal. But when it laser hits that glass and or crystal, you're creating these micro fractures in the surface of the glass. If you're putting too much heat into it and you're using the air assist, that can increase the blowouts. You'll actually get large chips of glass that'll just pop out of there and it'll leave. And they're obvious. When you're looking at it, you're like, oh man, got a big chip in the glass. It doesn't fracture the same uniformly like the rest of it. So I turn the air assist off. And I want to have a minimal amount of power going in there for the shortest amount of time, but enough time to create the fracture that's needed. And I run a bunch of tests with this initially when I got those in, and I was able to probably sacrifice 3 or 4 of them to find the perfect settings. And with this, with the diode, and I don't know about how the CO2 would work, it's a different animal, but with the diode, the 10 watt gave me my best results. Now, there may be folks out there who have bought these crystal paperweights and have done some of their own testing and got different results, and they can share that here in the stream, in the comments. But no, if it would be nice if it scaled that way. And I was looking for some of my test pieces to show you some of the scaling issues as far as power and here as of late, I've been using the 10 watt a whole lot more when I'm doing my engravings than I have been using my 30 watt. I'll use the 30 watt when I'm cutting, but if I'm engraving and I want to have a really dark color to it, and this is especially true on your cheaper woods or any woods that have got some larger grains going on. When you slow the laser down and allow that laser to have more time with that contact patch, you get more burning going on, more color. And it's not going so fast that it's, needing that power and it's just blasting the material away. This is, let's see, where is it? All right. 10 watt, 10 watt, 10 watt. All right. So this is the 30 watt. And I'm going to have to focus to really get this to where you can see. There we go. So there's the 30 watt. And I ran the power scale from 10 to 100 and from 1,000 to 18,000. And you can see, this obviously is way too much power. It's supposed to be an engraving, and we end up burning it all the way. And there's no really good black, really dark engravings that are just black that doesn't have chipping and carry. Those are kind of a decent brown through there, but no blacks. And this was with the Baltic birch. But then this one, I reduced it to 10 watts, same power, but went from 600 to 18,000. And I started to get some, better, darker colors in there at 600. And I said, okay, so let's go even more. And I did 10 watts, 10 watt with the Rolly. And again, from 5 watts to only 20 watts. I didn't even bother going full power. And at 700s right there, that was a really good dark black engraving. And it doesn't have a lot of blowout and chipping and it didn't tear my wood up. So low and slow can give you a better results on some of your woods. Especially on bamboo. A lot of people talk about, I don't get a really good result with bamboo. Well, if you slow your laser down and lower the power with bamboo, you can actually get a uniform and a dark color with bamboo. I didn't mark my spot to find my spots. How's the bathroom going? Well, it hasn't. Greg's referring to my remodel. Part of my struggle this week was getting my trailer out of my yard. I've got a 24-foot enclosed trailer, but it was parked in the grass, and it's been a messy, wet swamp here for weeks, and it dried up long enough to where what didn't dry up froze the other day. So I was able to back my rig in and get the trailer out from the side of the house and into the driveway so I can run to Lowe's and pick up my drywall. I've bought everything else. I need drywall and my electrical wiring and my boxes. And then I'll have purchased everything I need. And then I can start putting the pieces together. I've got all the flooring. I've got all the light fixtures, got everything else I need. I was putting the cart in front of the horse too many times because sales that presented themselves that knew, well, it ain't time for this yet. And I'm nowhere near ready for it, but I can't afford not to buy it. So I'm ready to start the drywall and now that I've got the trailer out, I'll probably go this week and go buy that. And that'll be what's on the next bit of agenda. I'm running Windows 11 and had no problems with LightBurn. All right. So he's on 11. I think he said he was 11.3. No issues with LightBurn or your lasers. Kevin says no issues so far. I have an MK2. I'm finding that I actually prefer the 10 watt setting since I'm doing projects to sell. I don't need speed and I really like the accuracy. Yeah, I like the and here we go. The dot size on your laser changes the more power you've got in it because you don't have a 30 watt diode laser pointing down at the bottom, and you don't have a 10 watt laser pointing at the bottom of your laser. They have to take multiple diodes, and I think the word is collimate them. They're stacking them. They're stacking these diode lasers one on top of another. And then they have to focus all of them into one point. And the more of them you try to focus together, it's more difficult to do. And you end up with a little bit larger spot size, the more power you put out there. And because of that, the 10 watt diode is only, I think it's 4 2.5 watt diodes that are stacked. And you get a smaller one than you do with the 30 watt because you got a whole lot more. And they might be 2 5 watts and 6 5 watts. I'm not sure which way he's going with them. But with the lower the power, you're using less diodes that are stacked. So you get a smaller spot size. So you get more precision. And as I just shown you there, with less power and lower speeds, you can get more burning of the surface going on. And it gives you a darker result. And I actually use these. I keep these right here at my keyboard because I will use this like a painter's palette. If I'm going to do like if I was going to do this cat right here for whatever reason, I wouldn't do it as an image. Well, the cat's not a good example. If this was an SVG, if this was not an image, if this was an SVG, and the nostrils and the V around the nose was in a group, the pupils and this outline here was, I would put all those groups, put those on certain speeds and power so they would burn at a certain rate. And then I would have, for the grays, I would use a different speed and power setting. I would use this as a painter's palette to assign different speed and powers to each one of those layers to be able to create kind of a grayscale effect with an SVG. And I've used grayscale, but they say grayscale is can be hard on a diode and not recommended. But by doing actual variations with speed and powers on different layers, you can create that grayscale look without actually using grayscale. Yeah. And that's Chris, thank you for bringing that up. Out of focus is another, and I actually do both. When I'm doing bamboo, I will raise the focus 1 to 2 millimeters above focal point, and that gets a darker image on bamboo. And the reason that works is you're changing your spot size. And this is an example I created way back when. If this is the output from your laser, all your lasers are coming together, and the reason you have a focal gauge is you're finding that perfect spot where all those lasers come together at their narrowest point for your optimum spot size for cutting. But your optimum spot size is not your best spot size for engraving. If you find you're not getting a dark enough result with your engraving, there are a couple of things you can do. Slow it down, lower your power, raise your focus, and increase your lines per inch. If you're doing it at 254 lines per inch and your spot size is a 0.08, 254 lines per inch, I think, is a 0.1. Your spot size is actually smaller than what you're engraving it at. And that can actually, depending on what you're engraving on, it can actually create some fine lines. Some folks I've seen this week were complaining about seeing lines when they were marking stainless steel. They were getting some residue left in between their image that they were engraving. And that could have been a result of they had it focused so that the spot size was perfect for cutting. But that really tight, narrow spot size, combined with them having it focused right to the perfect point, and then using an LPI that was larger than their spot size, resulting in those vertical lines, unwanted result. So increase your line size, your lines per inch to at least 318. And then also, if you raise that focal point just a little bit higher, you see as you come up, you start to broaden the size of that spot size. So now you've got not only the lines per inch are slightly overlapping your actual spot size, but now you're no longer using a ultra fine point laser. You're now using a broad tip or medium point pen. And so you create some overlap, and that gets rid of those unwanted results of leaving lines in your image. I forgot how to turn off the LightBurn update. So it's always bugging you to update. Well, that should just be in your gears and wrenches, I would think. Yeah. Switch. If you go to your gears, the settings, let's get that cat off here. He's funny looking. Get away. Go away. All right. So if you go to your gears, your editor settings, right there, automatically check for updates. If you don't want it to do that, just turn that off and say okay. And it will not be prompting you every time you see an update. I was laughing at Uncle Ron says, "What laser are you installing in the bathroom?" No lasers. This house, and the reason I'm bundled up, wrong button. The reason I'm bundled up here is because I've got gas heat in here, but this house was built in 1900 or 1901 original build. I'm 90% sure there's no insulation in the walls. I've got lots of insulation in the ceiling, but I don't think there's any insulation in the floor either. So it's cold. It's cold in here. And for the last 30 years, this house was used as a church. And when the church came in here, they renovated and made it to where they had a men's room and a ladies' room. There are no showers. And I'm going through some stuff, and I'm having to I'm bringing a family member in, and I need to have a full bath in here. So I'm taking what was a half bath and turning it into a full bath, adding showers and adding a washroom and place to put washer and dryer. I'm turning it back into a house. And I've been doing it myself as time and money permits. And they ain't enough of both. There's not enough time and not enough money. Let's see here. If I change the machine origin from the back right, from the back right to the front left, will my coordinates? What machine are you using? I guess that would depend on how your machine is set up. I want to set a carve at a specific start point. I'm guessing that's your machine, in your machine settings. I don't want to go there. Cancel. Hush. I know I did it wrong. Hush. Settings. Because I remember with the, and I really hate even saying this word. For those that know, you know, my first laser was an X-Full, and it liked to whoop me. I had the D1, and I'm pretty sure, if I recall correctly, it homed to the back left corner. So its origin was back left instead of front left. But when you go into LightBurn and you have your origin here, in fact, we can probably tell it right here. I've got my working size set correctly, and I've got my origin down here in the front left. And if I look here at that corner, I've got 0, 0 for front left. So if I go into settings, or not settings, go into machines settings, there we go, device settings, change my origin to here, and say okay. Yes, changing my origin. Now if I look at the machine and come down here, what was home at 0, 0 is been inverted. Now when I come up here and look at that, there's my 0, 0. There's 0 and 0. So yeah, if you go into the wrench and screwdriver and change your origin, it does change the 0, 0 position. Does that answer your question? If I change the machine origin from the back right to the, will the coordinates change? Yes. Yes, we just demonstrated that it would. This is a good question. What are the chances of getting software controlled power, as an example? And if what you're referring to, Dale, is, and I'm pretty sure it's coming. I'm pretty sure it's coming. The Rollies have the 1030 and the 1020 switchable diodes, but it's a physical switch that you have to make on the side of the laser. And to be able to actually have that toggle in LightBurn, to toggle that switch back and forth, so that, because right now I'm engraving in 10 and cutting in 20 and 30. So I'll do my engraving, machine stops, I change my setting to 30, then send out the cut layer. To be able to do that in one job, set that in LightBurn to where it's engraving at 10, switch in LightBurn to 30, and then it powers up and does the cut. I've heard them talk about that it is doable, but it is going to take, it's going to be, it's kind of like, which comes first? Right now, there is, to my knowledge, there's not a laser module out there that you can control with the software, and there's not any software that will control the laser. So it's like, All right, you got to build the laser that can do it for LightBurn in order to see what has to happen for them to make that switch and turn that on. And it's just a matter of probably just a simple control command that they can put in the Gerbil or whatever. And so I don't think it's difficult, but there's not been a need to. But I'm pretty sure that both Leo has said that it's either something that's doable or they are doing in the process of working with LightBurn to do that, but I haven't seen it done yet. I'm looking for questions again. If you've popped a question up and I haven't acknowledged it, if you're not putting the question marks in front of it or the exclamation points, if you need to correct me, because I'm not a fountain of knowledge. I will share with you what I know, and then we'll test it and figure it out. If we don't know, and then we'll learn together. But here, Sim says, how do you set a park position for the, okay, this is a good one. This is a real good, because I do this and I always give credit to Clack for teaching me this. I have a finished position, and when I started, as I said, I started with that X-Full, and because of if you have a laser that does not have homing switches, and you don't know for 100% sure you're starting from the exact same place every time, then setting a finished position is crucial to being able to send your laser out on the same job that you haven't moved your material on, and being able to replicate a job or add to a job in different layers or what have you. If you have a machine without homing, you send it to home, and it goes to whatever it determines home is at that time. You send that laser out, it does some engraving, and then it comes back to what it perceives as home without those limit switches, and it knowing exactly where home is. It might be off a fraction of a millimeter. And that's enough so that whenever you go to send that job back out again, it's not going to be exactly the same place again. And even with the Rolly having homing switches to prevent it from even being off, because there is a window of what's acceptable of, repeatability. If I send my job from home and it does part of my engraving, then goes to a finished position, the laser, I move it up and back on my laser bed out of the way. So now I can lift my laser and check it out, inspect it, do whatever. But if I need to send that laser right back out and go over it again, sometimes I don't get the darkness that I'm looking for, or I don't get the result, and I need to do it again. Well, if it's coming from here instead of coming from this home position, I send it to here. It knows that this is, and I'm going to use the value of just say 50-50. It goes to 50-50. Well, that 50-50 position that it goes to from that, when I started that job, that hasn't changed any. I didn't move my material. So when it goes back out to do a second pass, it's going to the exact same spot that it did before, because nothing changed. So setting a finished position, even if it's not truly going to be for finished, it's crucial for repeatability. And to do that, it's really, really simple. I'm going to put this out here, put it on there. And if I was going to be running this job, it's going to take 4 seconds to go out and run that around. And if I go over to my laser, is it laser or move? It's move. All right. In the move tab, and if you do not have your move tab open in LightBurn, you go to your window, and down here are all of the menus you can open for your laser controls and different layers. But move right there, turn that on so you have your move tab open. And if you don't have it open and it opens it and it drops it over here in the middle of your screen, and you don't want it there, and you obviously want, and you do want to keep it available, just click in the menu bar up here and drag it over here until that turns blue, and you can release it and it'll dock it into there and create a tab for it down here. So now you got your move tab. Well, now what you need to do, and I don't have my laser turned on, so let me turn the laser on. And I've got my laser set up so that when I power the laser up, it goes to a home position. And let's see, laser, get the right COM port. There we go. Now to go to home. And I'm going to put this wherever. But now I'm going to use my target, my pin. I'm going to grab my pin, and I'm going to come up here, and I'm going to drop it right there. I dropped my pin to that point, and that's going to move my laser up and away back out of my work area. In fact, let's put a toolpath on here. That's 300 by 300. Oops, come on. 300 by, not 3600. Come on, fingers. And put that in the corner. So now you can see there is a 300 by 300 piece of material, and the laser is now positioned up here out of the, completely out of that way. And I've got that mark right there. Well, in my move tab, I can, since the laser is sitting here, I now say set finish position. And now, if I were to run that job, the laser is going to come down here, and if I, in fact, I'll send it to home first. My laser is now moving from here down to the home position. I will send it out to do that job of that. And once it finishes that, the laser will move up here out of the way instead of coming back to home position. And with it being there, as long as I don't move my material, and that's the most crucial thing about repeatability, not the most crucial, because your machine makes a ton of difference. But doing things like this can even help a handicap machine improve your repeatability. Open that laser up, inspect your work. Don't pick it up. With the Rolly, you can actually pick it up. Because the Rolly's that good. I pick it up, take it, look at it. Oh, man, it didn't cut all the way through. Put it right back down in that same corner and send the laser back out, and it does no problem. But use that move tab to set your finish position. Your laser will move up there out of the way instead of going back to home every time. Does that help? Does that help anybody? Yeah. How do you set a park position for the, yeah, that should take care of that for you. Since the laser dot is really, and it's not really a rectangle either. Let's see here. Since the laser dot is really a rectangle, then the LPI needs to be greater than the narrower size of the a narrower size, or maybe use diagonal burn. Yeah. And it's not oval. It's not rectangular. It's ovoid. Ovoid would be a better description. Here it is represented in, that would be a cross section would be a rectangle, but that's not even accurate because it is more ovoid than it is rectangular or oval. And I did I have a video that's find your perfect kerf, and it talks about what you're talking about, and you may have gotten that from watching that about cutting on an angle, because your in fact, we'll switch back over here, because your dot size, and this is of course going to be way too big, but if your dot size is ovoid, something like that, and this is what he's talking about. you have a larger cross section here than you do here. But if you cut on an angle or engrave on an angle, we rotate that 45 degrees. Now, when that laser moves in an X and Y, and in fact, actually, I want to take and delete that. What is that? You can look right up here and you can see it. It's uniform. It's 22.97 and 22.97. It's the exact same width and the exact same height. By putting that on an angle, you do have a perfect kerf when you're cutting. But it has to move on a 45-degree angle to do that. So in order to do that, if I open, I don't want that. I want downloads Mica. No, discard. All right. So this is how just about everybody positions their boxes to cut out just like that. But to have a perfect kerf, a perfectly uniform kerf, this image needs to be rotated 45 degrees so that my laser will then go around and cut everything at a 45 degree and have that perfect kerf. You don't have a larger X or Y cut because of the shape of the laser. It was -7 degrees centigrade last night in Scotland. No, thank you. You can keep it. Fortunately, here where I'm at, it's like everybody panics. There's snow in the forecast. They go to the grocery store and buy all the milk and all the bread and all the eggs. And I don't know why, because I've never had a milk sandwich in my entire life. But milk, eggs, and bread, first thing to clear the shelves if the snow's in the forecast. And if I were to show you a view out the window right now, I don't think there's any snow on the ground. It snowed from, I think, about 2 o'clock yesterday afternoon, on and off all afternoon and halfway through the night, and there's nothing out there. You know, it don't stay around here long, but people freak out. Is the home button machine specific? Is your home position machine specific? Yeah, like I said, the home position for the X-Fool that I had was top or the back left, and home position for the Rolly is front left. And I forget where the home position on my CO2, I think, might have been back right. I can't remember. But yeah, machine specifications will dictate a lot of times where that's at. In fact, what's he say? The origin is the machine specific, and if you set it in the wrong origin, it will cause lots of problems. Yeah, and technically, yes, that is the origin, not home. And you can, but most people have their home and the origin set the same. You don't have to, but most people do. Power switching relies on both module design and firmware. Yep, LightBurn. So yeah, it's gonna they're gonna have to work that. I guess you have to have LightBurn would need to have, I don't know. Neither one exists, and they both need to exist, and one is dependent on the other. If I restart a burn from a finished position without rehoming, it will be about. I have not done. That's odd. That's very odd. that don't even make sense. That I don't know how. I don't even know how that could happen. Unless there's slack in the belts, or because if you start from home position, home is no matter what you're actually, if it thinks it's starting from 0 0 and does a job and then goes to a finished position and it goes to what it thinks is 250 250, and then you resend it, none of those variables have changed. It should go right back to that same perceived position. That doesn't even make sense, Jack. I hate that you're having that issue. That should not. I don't see how that happens unless it's a mechanical issue. But if you rehome, it does fine. Yeah, that's completely counterintuitive to my experiences, and I don't even understand why your machine would do that, barring a physical problem with them, or not a problem, but something about the machine. That just doesn't make sense. All right. Question marks. Is there a way to go from home position to finished position without running it? Yeah. Switch. Move tab. Move tab. You can use if you know what your finished position is, you can actually put in right here, put in the actual measurements you want to go to, and then tell it to go, and it'll move there. And laser. See, absolutely move. I thought there was a button for go to finish position, but I don't see a button for that. But like I said, if you know what your finished position is, you can use those right here, move position to. But and I'm sure there's a reason why you right here move from machine 0. I don't know why you would do that, but you're dropping the pin is one of the quickest way to get it moved out of your way. Grab the pin and just drop it wherever you want it to be, and it'll go there. But I thought there's set finish, but there's not a move to finish. Yeah. But this started having a fixed position to go to when you have a machine that doesn't have limit switches and you don't know that you're going to 0 0 every time. I'm pretty sure Clack said his at 1010. So you can send it to home, what you perceive as home, send it out to somewhere, or just send it to 1010, and then it'll go to 1010, and then also set that as your finished position, and then the laser will do the job, and instead of trying to go home, it just goes to 1010 and stops. So it's not going to a hard stop against the machine without limit switches. And well, Chris, I agree. I'm a big French toast eater, but I'll do a little cinnamon and sugar with mine too. But yeah, but why does everybody wait till it snows to want French toast? It's crazy. Question marks. Jack, just to be curious, what machine are you using there? So if you didn't see that, Jack Collins asking what machine are you using that you're having that issue with? Steven says my Otor will go home position if I do not have a finished position. That's an option. You can tell it not to go to home. let's see, in settings. Uh, or maybe is it in? There is a setting, and I don't see it right now, but there is a setting to where you can tell it not to go to home. Uh, if it's not in settings, is it in device settings? Return to finish position. Yeah. Yeah. Switch. And here I've got return to finish position is turned on, and I've got my finish position set. So maybe that's what you want to turn on. Instead of going to home position, turn that on, return to finish position, and set up your finish position like I just showed you. Then it will not be going to home. But maybe that's what you turn on to stop that from happening. And there's my finish position. Return to finish position, and what position do I want it to be? I can put it right there, turn that on, and it's going to go there every time instead of going to home. And that's in the device settings. That's in the wrench and screwdriver. Return to finish position, and there's your X and Y for those coordinates, and turn that on. And that's the same thing as using the move and then set finish position. There's always another way. Oh, what was that? Where do I turn on the display of the 3 buttons you have to move the tab that allows set finish position? Well, Dwayne, that may have answered your question just then. If you don't have this auto, if you don't have this menu open, that's the move menu. Go to your Windows and turn on move. But as I just showed you, you can use the wrench and screwdriver, turn it on here, return to finish position, set your finish position coordinates here, and say okay, and that will set your finish position as well. So Jack says he's using the Elego Delta 22 watt that he's having the issue with. Go to save position. Oh, and then type PARN and click on manage. I'm not following you, Don. Park. Okay. Good night, Dave. Thank you. Thank you for your support. I'm glad we got that straightened out for you today. So Don was saying, go to save position, type park, and click on manage. Oh, there's another thing. There's always another way. Always another way. So what Don is talking about, we go over here in the move tab, you've got save positions. And here I'm in the move tab. If I just open up manage, it shows all of my different save positions, and these are my rotary positions. If you want to add new, you can add new for park and put in what those are going to be. But that's how you can, that's what I think that's what he's referring to, is you can create a position for parking the laser or a finished position. There's always another way. All right. Does anybody have any other questions before we wrap this up? This has been a little bit of a different type of stream. I didn't have any set projects. This was more of a clack-like stream. All right. Oh, one thing I did want to bring up, and there's still a good number of you here. During the last, I think it was the last stream, I had to kick the first person out of the stream I've never had to do that before. Making some Andy, you got here in time to say, oh boy. But he was making some less than tasteful remarks, and so he got booted and kicked out. But people like that want to be jerks, all I got to do is they can come back in under another profile, and they can, I've kicked that profile out, but they can come back in under another profile. And I don't know if it's the same person or not, but there was a comment this week, and it could have even been a bot. It could have been a bot and not somebody. But YouTube, this was kind of funny. Go to YouTube Studio, because in the way the YouTube algorithm works, the analytics, the more you guys make comments and like and share, and you interface with the videos when you rewatch them or whatever, make comments, even if it's just, hey, thanks, whatever. Because the more interaction that's going on, that helps the analytics. It helps move that video up in the likability factor, I guess. So there was a comment. Let's see here. I want to share this with you. I got to find it. And he may have deleted it. I don't see it. Let's see. Oh man, I hope he didn't delete it, and he may have. Oh, phooey. I hate that. He made some kind of smart aleck remark about something, and then he even goes into this is completely off topic, and he starts throwing out these random words and questions about and he was asking about his his digital wallet. He was asking me for advice on what to do with his digital wallet. But and in his questions, completely off topic, and it was like he opened up a dictionary and just started picking out random words. They didn't make any sense whatsoever. So I just replied to his comment using the opposite word of everything he said. So if his word was white, I put black. If he put summer, I put fall. Or winter. And answered and replied back, because he might have thought he was being a smart aleck by putting some stupid, useless comment in there. But every comment helps. So I even replied to his smart aleck comment with another smart aleck reply, because that was another feedback. And if it gets reported, I didn't do anything. I didn't say anything out of the way. I just gave him the opposite words of everything he put in there. So as people have been saying in the stream, hit the like button down there. It helps. It helps me a lot. If you're not doing a super thanks, just reach over and hit the like button. If you've found this entertaining, informative, fun to hang out with everybody from around the world, hit the like button. And in your Facebook groups, in any of the forums you're on, if people are having problems or having issues and trying to figure stuff out, you know, and you think that I would be a good resource for them to go to help learn how to overcome stuff, because I do. And I'm actually, I've gotten to where I have been gun shy to even offer my help to folks in some of the groups that don't know me, because there's so many people out there. It's like, I'll help you. And then they, next thing you know, they're either wanting access to your computer or they're wanting your credit card information. There's a bunch of scam people out there, and that ain't me. I'll help anybody that needs help, and I'm happy to do it. But if you hear of anybody struggling, or tag Hobo with Wood in Facebook and tag the channel in your stream, share this information. Don't keep it all to yourself. Help. Let's try to get this channel growing some more. Let's see, question marks. Is it possible to put a switch on my rotary to switch it on and off rather than I guess you could. If you do so, do you know where the plugs and the switch can be purchased? Now, I don't know anything about that. My issue there would be, I get why you're saying you want to do that, and that is something that you gotta be real careful with those when you're plugging that into the circuit board, and make sure you don't want to pull on the wires, and it's hard to reach in there and grab that. I recommend getting some of the needle nose pliers that are bent at like a 45 degree, depending on where your board's located. I would need some of the bent 45 degree needle nose that I can reach underneath my rollers and grab it and pull it out, and grab it and pull it by the plug, not by the wires. But the issue I would see, depending on what laser you're using, is being able to plug that up and then make sure that when it's not in use, it's out of the way and not interfering with any of the mechanical stuff. But yeah, I'm sure you could do it. I don't know anybody that has done it and wouldn't know where you would. As far as where to get that stuff, Radio Shack. I'm sure Radio Shack has it, if you can find a Radio Shack. And Steven says, yes, you can get a switch on Etsy. Send me 100 and I'll save you from being scammed. Mm-hmm. Dale's saying use forceps. Yeah, and if you're using I don't use my rotary enough to where I would feel like I need to do a switchable situation. But I do get, the right tool makes all the difference in the world. Trying to do it with these would be impossible because of where it's at and how it's positioned. Not impossible, but these wouldn't help. But if I had a pair of the jeweler's needle nose that, for me on my machine, reach down and under, easy to pull out. Okay. Now y'all exchanging credit card information. I hear you. There's a guy on the Elego site that makes the switch for the rotary for several laser brands. There you go. Now this is be careful with scammers. They include a link. Be cautious on clicking on it. It gives them access. Yeah, and that's why when I do my help, this is StreamYard. StreamYard is the software I use to stream my chat. And I have a Hobo's World StreamYard Studio that will allow you to connect to a stream, and I can add your image to the screen, but I cannot access your computer in any way. You can elect to share your screen and share what you're doing in LightBurn and show me your steps that you're using. but I can never access it and I can never control it. I have no remote access to your equipment. I would never, ever want to do that myself for liability reasons. Uh, and when I'm doing it with someone like Dimitri or that they can jump in, I don't have a problem with that when it's a known and reputable business. But some random folk, no, you ain't getting access into my PC. I ain't clicking on nothing. And when in reference to what he said, be careful what you click on. That even goes to the ads you're seeing today. I've noticed a lot of your TV ads today, they end with a QR code. So, scan this QR code for link, information on. You don't know what you're scanning. You don't know when you scan that QR code, you don't know what you're telling your phone to allow it to do when you do. Be very careful about even scanning QR codes. There's too many unscrupulous people out there if I don't have control over, I ain't doing that. No, Radio Shack. I have not seen one in forever. And that's why I laughed. Radio Shack's where you need to be. And now I'm getting ready to wrap it up. But before I do, the last thing I want to teach you today is I'm wondering if somebody knows. Time for my lunch. The proper way to peel a banana. Does anybody know the proper way to peel a banana? Anybody? The proper way to peel a banana is not sit here and fight with this and break this off and it breaks your banana or whatever. Watch the monkeys when you go to the zoo, watch the monkeys. Yep. Andy's got it. You don't peel it from here. All you got to do is just take this tip and just pinch it. Once you pinch it, it splits open and now you can just peel it and you're ready to eat your banana. Easy peasy. And that's how you peel a banana. Guys, thanks for hanging out. I hope you found it entertaining and somewhat informative. We covered a lot of things. I heard some messages going off. I don't know if, in fact, back over to that page and go to home page and refresh. Yep. So switching. So some of the orders were a few of you guys ordering some of the hearts because we were at 285. We're down to 271. If you go to the Hobo with Wood site, the home page has the latest digital products that I've put up. These will be on the home page, the latest designs that I've done. And then you've got your digital files, which will have all of the digital files. I've got 198 right now, almost 200 digital files on here. There are some free files on here. In fact, if you tell it to sort by price, low to high, you'll see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 8 different free files in here. Now, I don't know why that picture is missing. I got to figure that out. But I got 8 free files in here. And coming up on St. Patty's Day, this one's a freebie. It's Lucky Day, and Feeling Lucky is another one. Those were 2 St. Patty's designs I did. But the Tree of Life, that's been really, really popular. U.S. license plate template. If you want to make license plate in the U.S. license plate template, but there's some free stuff out there. And you can sort it different ways. Sort it by the latest would be what you've seen on the home page. But in addition to digital files, I've got the laser blanks now. And these are the crystal hearts that I was showing earlier. I've got just a few of the olive wood cutting boards left. I don't have many of those. And I make these up. These are actually the hardwood nameplates. And those are actually a lot of work to create because they start out as like 4x4s. And then I've got a jig that I've got where I'll cut those and split them into, I guess they were like 4x4s. But and then once I split it, then I run them through the planers, get you a nice edge on the top and bottom edges, and create some nice, and I'll send the hardwoods for the inlays. So I've got, those are what I've got available right now. I've got a few other things that I have not got on here yet. The shop supplies are all of the things that I use in the shop regularly. And somewhere on here will be those. I thought I had my LED pucks on here. Maybe yeah, they are. There's the LED pucks that I was talking about earlier that I'm using. There's one or two videos in here. I was doing this early on, and that was something that was being done on LMR that in fact, I probably just need to take that off. And for any of you who do not trust doing the donations on YouTube, or you want to make sure that I get 100% of the money, if you come over to the hobowithwood.com and clicked on Adopt a Hobo, it has the link to how you can join on Patreon. Then there's the PayPal option, and then there's the Zelle option. When you do the super thanks through YouTube, I think they get 20%. I think that's right. When you do PayPal, I think they get like 1.5 or right at 2%. When you use Zelle, I get 100% of the money. Zelle is a banking app that your bank probably already uses if you're in the US. And when you use Zelle, it's just a matter of using Zelle and sending it to hobowithwood@gmail.com. And Zelle knows that hobowithwood@gmail.com is me. It goes right into my bank. It's almost instant, and it's fee free. Doesn't cost you anything. It doesn't cost me anything. So if you don't want to do the super thanks on YouTube and you would like to send me $5 or $10 to buy me a biscuit or buy me a half a biscuit, you can do that on the Adopt a Hobo page. All right. Venmo. I've got Venmo. If Venmo is what they absolutely wanted to use, because Venmo is kind of like PayPal on expense goes. If somebody contacted me and said, you know what, I want to send you money, but it needs to be on Venmo, I'd find that information. But there's not enough people that use the Venmo for me to set it up out there. All right. I think that's all the questions. I haven't seen anything else pop up. We're getting out of here. I'm going to finish my banana, go feed the puppy, and enjoy the rest of my weekend. You guys be safe. Stay warm. Unless you're Carl, make sure the air conditioner is where you want it set. Thanks, guys. Have a good weekend, and we'll see you next week.